Jenny Handley, curator and founder of the annual JHP Gourmet Guide with its plate ratings, and also editor of the bi-monthly Gourmet Guide magazine. Welcome to Plates and Palates, in which I take you behind the scenes to secret spots and to meet interesting people. Today I'm chatting to Nichol of Vietnam Tourism. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Jenny. It was lovely to spend some time with you over the last 2 weeks in Vietnam.
Yes, very special. And I think many, many months and years of expertise went into curating a trip that for me was at one moment fun, street food, sampan boats, and then sophisticated dining. So I think for the guests who've all commented on how they enjoyed the trip, they loved the contrast. And I think Vietnam is a country of contrast, particularly seen in the food. But what goes into behind the scenes curating a trip like that?
Well, Jenny, we must have spoken for a year trying to put this trip together. We were pioneers in doing this together. But Vietnam tourism has been going for 65 years. So they know everyone in Vietnam. They know all the best hotels, the top restaurants. They talk to them as friends. And using their experience and your food knowledge, I think it was a culmination of beauty putting this trip together.
It was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But I know, saying that we will be doing it again, because I think everybody who didn't come and thought of coming now want to come on the next one. But it's a case of also looking at what we did and saying who loved what. And we had one of the guests who every day after doing some food experience would say, now that was my highlight. And then we'd go to a dinner that evening and she'd come out and she'd say, now that was my highlight. So to put a whole series of highlights together, but I think putting the pace in place so that people who are on holiday have got time to appreciate each experience on its own before they rush to the next one. That you did so well. And I think it is making sure that we stayed in beautiful hotels that were well positioned, that if we wanted to wander down into the streets, do some shopping, have a local bite, we could. There was no pressure. And I think also when we were whisked from A to B, it was in a beautiful luxury bus with a massage seat, and if you wanted to catch a 40 winks, you could. So I think from your side, I want to compliment you on putting the niceties together that just made it all flow. And dare I say that being whisked in and out of airports is also a dream come true, that not ever having to queue. So it meant that our time was well spent feasting on the delights that Vietnam has to offer.
Absolutely. And to have our little Thuy and V chaperoning us, and our drivers, as you say, the coach with its heated seats and massage seats. We wanted to put the finest, as it goes with the fine dining that we did in the Michelin-starred restaurants, and to complement it with the bus and the top hotels we stayed in along the way. I think it was a fantastic tour, and really the feedback I've been getting has been fantastic.
Great, as it should be. But the local ladies, as you say, their names being Thuy and V, were incredibly perceptive. They were able to read the room, anticipate needs. But it's lovely to be traveling with somebody who can tell you. Thuy, born in the north, her parents grew up in the center, and she now lives in the south, because it's very different from the top to the bottom of the country, the personality of the people, their lifestyle, but most importantly for me, the food is such a representation of what is grown there. Because the locals eat what is available readily. They go to the markets in the morning, they go back to the markets in the afternoon. They don't necessarily have refrigeration. And I love that also they eat on the streets, because many of them live without kitchens. But what gentle, special people. And to travel with locals so that we could also go and drink coffee with the locals and go and have a bowl of pho. We always in South Africa pronounce it pho, but it's pho. Am I right there?
Pho.
Pho.
I still pronounce it wrong. Every time I go and say, Thuy, is it pho? She goes, no, back. It's pho. So
Okay, well, we are work in progress, yes.
Yes, as long as you don't pronounce it po.
Okay, no, we would never do that.
Okay.
But also to go and lunch with the locals, and you can see they've come in from work, and so you're not feeling like a tourist at any time. I felt like I was on this perfectly curated trip with a friend. That's how one wants to travel. And you want to do the behind the scenes. And one of the many highlights, I think the highlight for some of our guests, was being taken into a chef's home to meet him, to hear his story, and then to watch him cook was incredible. So, Chef, how did you find Chef Duc in Hoi An?
Again, through Vietnam tourism, we've been doing quite a few of very upmarket trips, and our chairman said we have to go to Chef Duc. So the first time I was introduced to Chef Duc, I was blown away to hear his story as one of the boat people that was put into a boat at the age of 10, pushed off the shore and waved goodbye by his parents, ending up in Hong Kong and then America and then Mexico and then finally back to Vietnam. Such an inspirational story. His food's great. He's a good-looking guy. I think everyone really enjoyed that. I think that was the highlight of one of our highlights of the tour. But that was a special highlight.
It was very special. And then I think also to see him in his home, cooking, telling his story. There was such a connection, very aromatic food, and little hints of his history, his time in Mexico, and to see how he's pulled it all together was amazing. And then to go to his restaurant that evening and to dine in a more sophisticated fashion. So again, I say the juxtaposition between the sort of street food and the local and the simple and authentic, and then to just elevate it with a little bit of sophistication here and there. The Michelin-starred restaurants we went to, I thought were exceptional, and a real treat to be there for the time when there was a collab between Chef Sam Trung of ZA, which have I got that right?
Correct.
It's GIA, but we say ZA. Got that. And she was Michelin's Young Chef of the Year in 2023, cooking with Rena Chen from China, from Fumé, beautifully put together. These two incredible female chefs. You know, for a one night only, for us to be there was very exciting. And the dishes that they prepared, all brand new dishes for the meal, very brave, pulled it off with aplomb. I think that will live in my heart forever. And to meet them and chat to them, and they're so proud of what they're doing. And Sam is very proud of her Vietnamese heritage and culture.
Yes.
And then I think our last fine dining interlude, which was at An Saigon in a wet market. You just can't believe you're walking to a world-renowned, on Asia's 50 best list at a time, and to have such incredible food. Beautifully orchestrated, every dish was balanced, and I think perfectly represented the yin and the yang of Vietnamese cuisine. That was just, for me, that was a career highlight, to go and eat this beautiful dinner, meet the chef, go into the kitchen and see how he prepared everything. Amazing.
Absolutely.
So those behind the scene interludes are really what makes our tour special. So Mary, I just want to say thank you for putting together an unforgettable time. And I'm looking forward to doing all the other Asian trips with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Japan is next on the agenda.
Japan is, we've started the itinerary. We're excited with the itinerary.
It's looking good.
Your input is fantastic, as you've been there before.
I'd love to go back and take you to the chefs I've met. And let's do this.
Get a nice knife made for us.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
So onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards. Yes. Can't wait to do the next one with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray.
Thank you.
Now I'm chatting to Chef Harald Bresselschmidt of Aubergine Restaurant, a two-plated restaurant in the guide that has been gracing our pages for over a decade. So congratulations on that, Harald.
Thank you, Jenny.
And you were very deserving of being chosen to come on our fabulous feasting tour in Vietnam.
It was a pleasure to be there. And,
I saw that.
So I was lucky. Normally I don't win anything, but in this case I got it. So I took it, and it was, we had a great time. It was amazing.
And I'm sure very different from the kind of cuisine that you always well exposed to, because I always describe Aubergine as the foundation of fine dining and gastronomy, because you've got obviously the European style, the wine leads the food. So when you go to Vietnam, there's no focus on the wine. It's very much on regional ingredients and what is grown and what is available, and making the most of that food. How did you find the cuisine?
Yeah, I found it really interesting in the case that it looks basic, but it's always in balance, and they're always using spicy ingredients, but when you see them cooking it or preparing all this raw garlic and chili and the pestle and mortar and to get started. And but eventually the food is just so integrated, and because also I think they use a lot of fresh aromatic herbs in often raw as well. And so that sort of impressed me as well, because I work with organic veg and organic greens a lot, and I always find that fiber helps you while you're eating to start digestion, and that makes you feel lighter at the end of the meal. And I always felt, well, I think the only thing that took us out was those breakfast in the 5-star hotels.
Yes.
But the rest of the food was just such a lightness of being, and that's what I also promote, and that's what I want to do. More aspect on healthy eating while you're sitting in a great restaurant, and so that is it was done there by, they have everything free range. They have these huge plantages where they grow everything. They don't need big fertilization, so that also gives you that natural taste. They use obviously a lot of white meat, so you don't you hardly see any red meat, and that makes you also again feel nicely. The eggs were beautiful, I thought, and that is also a key ingredient in the kitchen. There are no dairy, so lots of tofu. So I think that different in combinations, it's definitely a beautiful feel about it. And yes, wine doesn't play a role. You don't actually think about wine. It's a habit, maybe ask for a bottle of wine or so, but generally I found that the wine wasn't necessarily needed with the food, and it also didn't necessarily engage very well with the food. There's certain specific wines you would need to have to pair with that,
Yes.
with the food. But as I say, it was great to eat that bowl of fur, and that is just such a simple but slow cooking. All ingredients in, every ingredient makes it mark, and then eventually it comes out so balanced and moreish. But if you look globally from the top and satellite view and the way we grew up, and we also had that beef stock on the stove every day and made a soup out of it, and that was our staple. And my grandmother used to put it on in the morning before she went to church, and just put that one bone, that cold water and salt in a pot, and then off it went until lunchtime. And so I love these sort of things. Sue loved it as well because she likes soup, and so we really enjoyed that experience, that simplicity. And then also they're using really from nose to tail, anything in the chicken and anything in the pork, and that's just also up my street, tasting all these bits and pieces.
And there were lots of bits and pieces. Yes, very much.
There was, and some came in a version of a frog or in a different version, but it was really, really great to experience it like that.
But I do love the way they describe their food. They say it's not fast food, it's patient food. And it is. It's about the long, slow cooking, making sure that they take whatever flavor they can get out of the ingredient. So we started off in Handley, and we did some amazing fine dining there. And then we had a quick stop on a boat cruise, which was a lovely break. And then we got into the fun dining. And when we went to Hoi An, I noticed that when we went to Chef Duke's home, you were itching to start cooking again. It's quite hard for a chef to be whining and dining and out and feasting and then not actually get into the kitchen. And you really seem to be at home when you could actually play with the ingredients in front of you.
Well, that's the thing. If you travel and you don't have a stove in front of you, you see all these different ingredients as well. You want to actually do it and help it. I remember when I go overseas and sometimes on markets you see this beautiful fresh seafood specific, which we often can't get here. And so when I saw those crabs and then that kettlefish is still wiggling and the mussels and all that, so if you're craving for just a one plate.
Definitely.
Get something started.
And one always wishes you could bring some of those ingredients home, because I think of the many international cuisines, the Vietnamese is one of the more difficult ones to replicate, because it's very dependent on those fresh greens. We don't grow morning glory here. It's difficult for the home cook to get galangal. A lot of the flavors you actually can't replicate. But I have to say, the first thing I did when I got home was make my broth. You know, you crave that healthy, nutritious food, because that's what you've been eating for a couple of weeks. But I think there was a contrast there between the fine dining, and I knew you would love and appreciate the level of fine dining that we were treated to. But it was also such joy to see you in the market and seeing the local ingredients and watching how people live and work and play. I must make mention of Weird and Wonderful. We went in one of the towns to a market and to a restaurant where they showed us all the weird and wonderful ingredients, which some of the guests were a little bit alarmed by, you not. I could see you were relishing, you were happy to eat your frog and all the parts of the pork, and because you have a great appreciation for nose to tail.
I grew up on a farm in the first place, so we had our own pigs as a sideline for us as a family, so we slaughtered them, and then obviously we used everything, made our own sausage from start. So that's how I grew up, and then, as I say, on the side we had this little beef soup, you know, and so very much reminded me on back to the roots and just use these ingredients as well. But sometimes at a restaurant, we find it difficult to communicate it for people to just try it and just eat a bit more of the offal, especially here in South Africa as well. When you buy you buy everything free range, and I think there's it's good to change your diet sometimes, eat a little bit of those offals, and for instance, the heart is an amazing muscle for me to eat, you know, and but if I put it on a menu, you can be sure that I'm going to eat it on a Sunday lunch because we didn't sell it, you know.
Yes, I'm sure of that.
So it's one of these things, but I'm still behind it.
Differently on
I know that I'm not so
just
good in this.
Just call it the love muscle, Harold, and then everybody will want to eat it. Certainly on Valentine's Day, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
No, it's definitely. But it was such a fun trip, and it's really great to see a chef who's worked as hard as you have for 30 years to be taking a break and to enjoy somebody else's cuisine and to have it all curated for you. And
it was very
the only
good.
thing that's missing today as we chat about it is that Vietnamese hat, because I got used to seeing you on the back of a motorbike leading the way with your hat.
Yeah, I'm going to use it in the garden now.
No,
Thank you, Jen. It was great to be part of this incursion, and it was enlightening again, and the health element in the food, and that extra fiber here and there, and I love it. So it was really good.
Well, thank you for doing it justice. You were great company.
Pleasure. Thank you, Jen.